Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to look at the expansion for RWBY Combat Ready, the Sub-Boss expansion. So, by Arcane Wonders. Let's go ahead down to the table. I'm going to give you a general overview of what you get with this expansion and what it does. I'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is what you're going to get in the RWBY Sub-Boss expansion. You're going to get a couple more scenarios, which are always good. For some of the different characters that are very popular in the RWBY universe. I really like this Emerald and Mercury deck and scenario. And it's two-sided, so you have two different things going for it. And you get new cards for those guys. And if you watch our basic review, you can tell what these different cards are going to do. But in general, there's really cool abilities that happen. And in this game, you're really paying attention a lot to the ability that's on the bottom that can occur if you win the duel, the speed up on top, and then how much damage, these little symbols right here, it actually does to the players. And there's some really cool cards in here that can do a lot of damage, and 9 and 8 are really high speed, so there's a lot of cool things. And on the back here, you actually see by the color and stuff in their stance of like this is going to probably be a high probability of being a high speed attack. These ones here are in the middle, so they could be high speed or they can be something that negatively affects the party, so you can adjust what cards you play based on what you see on the top. And you actually will, if you watch the base one, you'll actually shuffle all these together, and then they'll be drawn individually during each combat. You also have this one, which I think she was only in 1 or 2 episodes, but she's like a crime boss or whatever, so you have your scenarios for her, and you have a nice little deck for her. And her stuff is a lot of, I think mainly a lot of lower speed ones, but you can get up to some really high speed ones in here, so you can get a lot of damage on here, but she does a lot of like underhanded attacks and stuff, so this is really cool. There's a lot of really good cards in here. I like this one here because, and again, all these different ones add more to the game because they add more scenarios, like I said, in general, but they also add a lot more strategy to the game. You have to fight each of these bosses slightly differently. And so we went over those two. And I know this one here, this character, Neapolitan, is one of the favorite or fan favorite characters, but she finally gets her own deck and her own scenarios, and she gets her own little deck here, and she's like the illusionist, so she can and she gets a lot of really neat, like here's an illusion attack. She gets a lot of really neat abilities, and she has some pretty good high speed ones in here, but she's pretty moderate in the 7 to 6 area for the most part, and a couple really high ones at the end. But I really like fighting this one, it's fun. So that's basically what you're going to get with the sub-boss expansion for RWBY. Let's go back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on this expansion. So RWBY Combat Ready game, I love a lot. And I really want more and more content for this game, because especially like this, where it just adds like 3 different basic scenarios that you can run on here and more content that's really great, and it adds more to the game, so without like overcomplicating it or anything. Plus, if you're a fan of the RWBY series, this is really thematic and ties in really well. So basically there's not a whole lot to say with this expansion. It just adds more and gives more replayability to the base game, which is a mark of a great expansion. I really hope that Arcane Wonders does more in the future. I'm not sure if they're going to, but if you have the base game for RWBY Combat Ready, I highly recommend picking up this expansion, because this is almost like a must-buy if you have the base game, to basically add longevity to the game and make it, basically let it get to the table more often and get more plays through. So that is my final thoughts on this expansion. Thank you for watching.